Okay, I would like to convene the February 10th, 2022 Advocacy and Outreach Committee meeting to order at 1 p.m. And Chris, would you please call the roll?
Marjorie Bruntelli. Here. Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Morna Turner.
Here.
Claire Wynn.
Here.
Beth McCullen. Here. Tatiana Weinstein.
Here.
Then I would like to open it up for the public general comment. Is there anyone in the room for general comment to address the board? Okay. Normally, each person would have up to 5 minutes to speak, to provide general comment, and since no one is in the room, we'll just go ahead. Item number 3 is to approve the minutes of the January 13, 2022 Advocacy and Outreach Committee meeting. And may I have a motion and a second to approve those minutes?
I motion that we approve those minutes.
A second.
Okay, roll call, please, Chris.
You want to ask if there's discussion on the minutes?
Sorry, is there any discussion on the minutes? And no? Okay, if not, Chris, could we have a roll call, please?
Morna Turner.
Here.
Sarah Wynn.
Here.
Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Marjorie
I
Bruntelli.
should say aye.
Aye. Yeah.
Aye. All right. That's everyone, Liz.
Okay. Then I think you guys, we wanted to talk a little bit about agenda item number 4, which was the donation letter follow-up. And I guess this is where we had some brainstorming probably at a previous meeting. And we talked about various ideas of some of the steps we may or may not want to take in terms of donation letter and the follow-up. And before we do, Tatiana, do you have any update that you want to give us concerning donations?
I do. Actually, really great news. As of today, we have pulled together $6,655, which is about 45% of the way to our goal, which is almost halfway there, which is great. Yeah. And I will say that about 9 of the most recent donations via the newsletter that just went out the first week in February. So just after 1 week of the newsletter being out, we received 9 donations. So hopefully there's more to come. Those came pretty quickly, and actually 2 of them came not via the U.S. mail. Some people just came in and ripped off the ticket off of the newsletter and wrote a check right here and there and gave it to staff to bring down to administration. So again, we're about 45% of the way there. So yeah, good stuff.
That's terrific.
It is so exciting. Yay. Thank you. Not only does it show how people are supporting us financially, but I think it shows how the community supports the library and likes the library, enjoys the library. So that's just so, it just tickles me so much. So I think what we wanted to take a little bit of time next is to just talk about donation letter follow-up. What does everybody think? We had a couple of ideas floating around, you know, to various trustees want to follow up, and how do we follow up? You know, I don't know, I'm going to go across the top of my screen and maybe for Beth, she's in the upper left-hand corner. Is it fair to start with you, Beth, or should I start with somebody else?
You can start with me. I think you'll have to define what you're asking for.
Well, I think this is a brainstorming session in terms of what kind of follow-up, if any, you think we should do with, in terms of following up on the donation letter? Now, this isn't necessarily following up on the newsletter mailing. This would be following up on the donation letter. And it could be anything from, you know, I don't know, calling people that we sent the letter to. It could be doing nothing. It could be sending out, you know, a candygram. I don't know, anything, just brainstorming.
So my opinion is that the newsletter seems to be working and the money seems to be coming in daily. So I would support just letting it go right now, and I wouldn't follow up on the letter that we sent. I mean, the letter seems to have been direct, and I would hope that the people that wanted to follow up on the letter did.
Okay, and since I'm going from left to right, you guys your screen might have organized itself differently. Sarah, you would be center for the next follow-up or the next comments.
Yeah, and really just a couple of things. I definitely agree with Beth. I feel like the newsletter, that's a great, like, it's so great to see that people read the newsletter, read it, and feel strongly to support the library in this project. It also shows that the way our process that we voted on and agreed upon for the process on how fundraising would go with the board, this just shows like how great it really does work. So I would actually piggyback. I agree with Beth, is just to see how it plays out. More newsletters if they come in, or actually when they come in, and you know, just something on my part is personal. I hope nobody. I just want to make it clear that I never once said I was against fundraising. It's not what I said. I did say it might not be the right time. So I hope that's a little more clear. But I do love that the newsletter is bringing in things, because the newsletter went through the process of going through the board and voting and everything. I think it's wonderful.
Okay, I don't want to cut you off. Is it okay to go on to the next person?
Of course.
Okay. How about you, Marjorie?
I agree with both Beth and Sarah. My thoughts right now are with agenda item number 6, as far as the next steps. But I have a question I probably should know. Do we have the letter and the coupon physically in the library downstairs? It's available?
Yeah, we have it on the website, as well as we have extra copies of the newsletter, and we have stacks of the newsletter around the building. Yes.
Okay, is that, is it highlighted? Do we have a little sign or something saying?
So currently, it's just been a really busy couple of weeks. We don't have an internal display as of yet, and I know we're getting to those next steps. The first step was to put stuff on the newsletter, the second on the website. The second step was to put it in the newsletter. The third step is for staff to create like an internal display. But we do have copies of the newsletter with that ticket around the building.
Okay.
But it's coming. The internal display.
That's why I said it might roll into item number 6.
Yes.
I didn't want to jump the gun on that. I know that we've been busy with other things besides this. But may I ask then, it seems like we made quite a jump in dollar amount after the newsletter. Is there any, I thought we were around.
We were on 5,000.
We were
We
around.
were about 4,999. Yes.
Okay, so we jumped about 1,500
Yes.
from the
In a
newsletter.
week. Yeah.
And about how many did that, how many single donations. It's not important.
Is the newsletter about 9?
About 9. That's wonderful. That is really. So I agree. I think the newsletter is working and continues to work. So I don't know about any further follow-up right now. I think.
One other thought for everyone is that a great percentage of the people who received the letter in the mail, now they've received the newsletter.
So that's a
it
follow-up.
was, if they read the newsletter, that was the second reminder.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, you're on the hot seat, Lorna.
Oh,
What do you
wait a
think?
minute, what about Tatiana? She was next in line, wasn't she?
Well, I'm doing it by how they laid out on my screen.
I pretty much agree with what everyone else has said. I would hope that we're keeping track as the donations come in, whether we got them via the newsletter or whether the solicitation letter, so we can kind of gauge at the end of the day for future fundraising as to what was the most effective. So I'm assuming that someone's keeping a spreadsheet that they were either just a random donation that it came through the newsletter or whatever. And then trying to think what my other thought was. And obviously a lot of it will be covered in 6 then too. So I think we just stand right now. I think that we got a good initial response from the 9 people. I think we just wait a while. And with these other follow-ups, it will kind of remind the people, oh yeah, they are doing some fundraising for the Slidezilla board, such as the displays that you're talking about at the library. Those are the only comments I have at this time.
Okay, Tatiana?
And I will second everybody's, I guess, thoughts. Other thing, we do have 2 organizations that are in the wings who have indeed confirmed that they will be donating to us, that being the Women's Club as well as the Friends. I don't know the amounts on either of those organizations, but those 2 have been verbally confirmed to me. So those are coming.
Okay. And kind of these 2 blend together. That's, see, how did we, kind of like item, let's see, agenda item 4, which was the, okay, item number 5 was fundraiser project benefits. It was a draft document. And what I did is I just took, instead of focusing on the features, I don't know if you guys have that document handy. Instead of focusing on the features of, I think it was in part of the packet. You know, it's nice to know that the little acrylic things will turn a certain brightness, or that they're this many inches long, and that's what I'm considering a feature. But I turned them kind of into benefits. How does it benefit a user? What does it give to somebody who's using it? So this was just a draft document, benefits of the Lightzilla. And the reason that I put this together, and I'm going to be asking everybody, does it make sense, the list, and what can we add to it? Because I'd like to give it and present it at the board, because I think every board member, you know, if approached, walking down the street, happens to be getting a coffee or grocery shopping, you might want to always be able to name 3 benefits of the Lightzilla. Because, you know, as a board member, even a staff member, you might be asked, why are we doing this? What are the benefits? And this would give everybody, you know, just kind of like something that they can make their own, you know, pick 1 or 2 things that they can say as to how it would benefit patrons. So comments, what does everybody think?
Under this description where you talk about the Lightzilla, the number 2, I think I would also add that their size for a kid. You know, I don't pick that up. Maybe it's child size, that any size kid, whether it's an 18-month-old or an 18-year-old, they can easily pick this up and insert it into the pegboard. So somehow just making it fits a child's hands or whatever, just child size. Because I would have no idea since I've been to the Children's Museum in Wheaton, DuPage Children's Museum, I know how big the pegs are. But had I not gone there a couple times recently, I never would have known how big they were. I would think light bright size, the small things. Obviously, the picture would help somewhat, but I think just saying, if you don't have a picture in front of it, just saying that they easily fit a child's hand or child size or whatever it might be to get that message across.
Great. That's a great ad. Anybody else? And part of the description I got from lightzilla.com website, and also these are sold, believe it or not, by ABT. I don't know if you guys are familiar with ABT and how they sell every type of home appliance. And I found information on their website. They sell these as well. And I guess some people actually buy them for their homes. So that was kind of surprising, but that's where I got some of the information as well.
I'm waiting to build a game room in my house so I can add one to my home.
And you can have us all over.
Right. I wouldn't hold your breath though, okay? I'm not building a game room anytime soon.
And I guess, Tatiana, one of the things I wanted to check with you, we are looking at the one that's 6 feet by 5 feet, correct? Okay, gotcha. Anybody else have any comments or additions, corrections?
So number 3, where it says may boost improved hand-eye coordination, is that something that comes from the Lightzilla website?
No. The benefits are things that I was thinking. Those are benefits that I thought would come from if I had a child using it. I would think that it would probably improve their eye-hand coordination.
I think
So
I would change the word may to can.
Okay.
Go ahead,
I
Sarah.
don't know if I don't know if I would step into that category, because even researching myself, I found where I was wrong on certain things that I should and should not say. And I think because there are kids who do OT, we don't know who those kids are, that they work on hand-eye coordination. I think that kind of is kind of rubbing up against the medical side of things. I don't know if there's another way we can, somehow put in hand-eye coordination, but not like boost or improve, because it may not do either of those. It's just fun to play with, but like I've been doing research on things that I should and should not say. So there was a lot of wrong things that I was finding that I'm like, oh, should stay away from that. So I don't know if there's an.
Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh no, I was just saying, I don't know if there's another way, like another benefit that we can put in there instead of that one, because there's a lot.
To Lorna's suggestion, I would strongly recommend we use, if we're going to use any kind of list like this, that we use may instead of can, because to Sarah's point, we can't confirm that this indeed will help. So using the word may, I think, is absolutely okay, because that's not tying us to any improvement. It says may. We can absolutely change number 3 to say something completely different as well. It's just, I think we need to stay on the may side of things versus the it will.
So Sarah, you said you had some other suggestions. I mean, if we were to replace number 3, what would we do?
Oh, I was just saying if we had any. I mean,
You
I
had
just
said you
think
came
that,
up with things as you were researching it. You said you came up with other things.
things where like we can't even touch adding neurodivergent, naming any sort of disability. We can't do that, like just because it is not a medically approved piece. So even I was just like, oh, okay, well, we can't do that because we can't specifically name those because it's in a public area that is almost making it only towards those particular types of children, those who have disabilities. So it's in a library, like it should just be for all, instead of kind of naming and describing certain certain medical disabilities.
So I know that when we first started looking into like Zilla, there was some mention of that this may help children on the spectrum or be in some way attractive. And that may very well be the case, but we as a public library shouldn't be making that statement. If there are statements that come from like the Autistic Society of America, I'm not even sure of the correct name, but of that nature, we would quote that particular organization if they had a statement about like or something of this nature. We as a library should not be making that statement. So being a little bit more general about benefits, I think, serves us better. And I think that's what this list is. I think 1 through 8 can be adjusted in ways like using the word may. Even number 4 encourages concentration. We may want to use a may there as well.
Okay.
Like can assist with color identification. Yes, it can assist. Does it say that it will teach your child how to identify color? So I think we need to be careful about the language we use in the library versus the medical world or educational world.
Rather than saying benefits, should we say potential benefits?
Oh,
These
you
are a
mean
little fuzzy.
the header there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are a little fuzzier.
Yeah.
I think one of the exciting things about this installation is that it's a unique play feature for the library, and I'd like to stress the play aspect, especially now during the winter. I mean, families are really looking for an activity, and this is going to be perfect for children. If play that is different from what you have at home or at the playground, that's what's going to be unique. So this, as was mentioned here, as Lorna said, we don't have these in our homes in this size. So I think the uniqueness is partly the benefit. And the play aspect is, again, I don't want to get into the medical activity again, but this is partly also what the library offers, as we've already said, that it's, a community place, it's a fun activity, blends in with what you can also do at the library. So trying to find the words for that is to me a benefit.
I think the word unique is we should build that in somewhere. It is unique.
And
What if
how
we
it's
put it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
how it's interactive. I think that's a word maybe to use, is that it really is interactive for the kids. It's not just a stuffed animal or a book. It's interactive and it gets kids playing together and stuff.
Point number 2 says interactive though. Under description, it says large-scale
yes.
interactive light wall.
And
Thank you
number,
for that.
number 8 says it also, and I would just maybe just taking the study break for students out of there and kind of making it more general.
I
You know
apologize.
what's
I have it right
interesting?
here.
You know what's interesting though? If you go on their website, there's a whole section where high school and college students play with these boards when they get frustrated with their studies. So I'm okay taking out the interactive study break. I just want everybody to be aware that although we're kind of focusing on the little bikes, there is a whole nother group of students, young adults, who use it to break up the stress of studying, which was a user group I wouldn't have been aware of.
I actually like that ad, Liz, but maybe we break up number 8 into an 8 and a 9, and that we can say can provide a I don't want to unique or special study break activity for students, something like that, because yes, it is going to be within the youth services department. However, within the youth services department, we will also have a teen area. So I think that makes sense to, offer a special study break activity for students or opportunity.
Okay. So just to make sure we capture both what you said, Tatiana, and what Sarah said, what do you think of this idea? Adding to the description a third point. No, wait a minute. Maybe this is what Beth said. The third point would be unique play feature / activity for children. Maybe that's a combination of what both people said. And then changing number 8 under potential benefits to read can provide study break opportunity, and just change the wording a little bit.
Yeah.
You guys good with that?
Mhm.
Okay, and what I worked in there is changing benefits to include the word potential, so potential benefits. And on number 3, under potential benefits, we're going to leave the word may in it. On item number 4, we're going to insert the word may in the front of it. So may encourage concentration.
And 5, you'd want to change the can to may also then, right?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
And I would change the order so we don't have 3 points in a row that start with may, may, may. So I would change the order of the points there.
Gotcha. How about, I think the only person we haven't heard from is Marjorie.
Thanks. Well, number 6 addresses some of the questions we had about serving all abilities as to what Sarah shared with not using, inappropriate language. I just wonder if it would be worth it for the committee purposes if Sarah could share some of her research. I would like to be educated on what is appropriate and isn't. I mean, just in the committee, just for our own information. I don't know if that's something that we need to do or should do. It's just a suggestion. And if not, maybe Sarah could share it with me individually.
Well, I think, to me, it's knowledge worth having. We do serve a diverse group of children and adults. So, Sarah, can you kind of give us any more what you've either researched or learned about how we speak about folks in general?
Yeah, I don't have my notebook here, but I like I had said, the biggest thing is that unless it is a kind of like a pre-approved medical device or activity put in an OT therapy place or a PT therapy place, you cannot say it may help with this issue of color, because there are kids who are, well, there's kids, parents, anybody who is colorblind, so they can't really see. They can't help that. OT, there's specific things that every child works on. Everything that is kind of medical, like especially with kids, is a spectrum. And so I was reading through some things also. Places not to get information, which is Autism Speaks. Don't ever get any information from them, because it's very against, they do use inappropriate language. If you are going to talk about disabilities, especially autistic kids, you don't want to say autistic, you want to say neurodivergent, because it comes along with ADD, ADHD, like a whole slew of other disabilities. And so just kind of taking what I got is that really, unless we're approved by a doctor, a hospital, a PT therapy, OT, like we really can't, if you're putting it up in a public space, you can't you can't use those words to sell your point or your feature. It's just, I don't want to say wrong, it's just something that is taken offensively, because then there are parents who are like, well, how come this isn't going to work with my child? So it's almost like a, what do you not have, like, why don't you have something for my child or my children? I can also send an email to you, Liz, if you want, with all of my stuff, and I can email it to you, and I don't know if you want to like email that out.
Why don't you send it to me and then I will
Oh, okay.
send it out. So
Okay.
Sarah, you used the word may, and I don't know if you meant to. So I want to confirm, because we are changing our language here to may. And I would assume that using the words may don't get us into any trouble. Doesn't get us into any trouble. Are you saying that we should not use the word may?
I don't think we should, because there's that little open area. It may be small, but it's that little open area of there's always somebody that will take that out of context, or maybe like, oh, well, how come, it says it might do this, how come it didn't work? It just leaves that little space where we really, as a library, since this is for the library, we don't want to open that space up and leave that in for somebody to cause any undue like questions and trouble, I guess.
So do we drop those points entirely? Do we drop 3? Do we drop 4? Do we drop 5?
I think like I don't think we should do the hand-eye coordination, because that is an OT specific PT. That's what they work on, especially small motor skills and larger motor skills. That's an OT PT thing. That's what they use, especially. I would take that point out. I would definitely find another benefit to add in there, because Lightzilla has so many that are more general and can speak to little kids and high school students, college. And I like that it encourages concentration. I think just my opinion, I feel like adding may to that, I don't think that would get anybody into a situation. It's like, it may encourage concentration. Well, that's cool. It's just like saying something else might, but it's not tied to medical. If that makes
Well,
sense.
I guess I'm confused then. You're saying in some instances may works, in other instances it doesn't, but
Well,
yet concentration can be a medical issue. Or lack of concentration can be a medical issue.
I don't see that as being a medical diagnosis of not being able to concentrate. I am not a doctor. I am just telling you what I've been researching. So, like I said, I don't have my notebook in front of me, but I can email out the research that I was doing because of looking at words and how to describe certain things. You know, that's why I had mentioned to you, Laura, when you had came up to me, when you were saying about autistic kids, I said, well, no, they say neurodivergent because the language and the verbiage can be offensive. So I'm not a doctor. I'm just researching.
Percent of the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Marjorie.
I just have a question. Liz, you mentioned that these are the benefits listed on the Lisle website, some of them?
No,
So-
some of them may be. A
Okay.
lot of them, I was just thinking, when my grandkids were little, what did we do? And we did fun things. But we knew that things were happening. And as you played with certain games, you knew that it would help them. This isn't, they weren't anywhere on the spectrum. It would help them develop eye-hand coordination. It's just the result. Go ahead.
Well, my point was, if Lightzilla is using some of these potential benefits, I would assume, I mean, I don't know, that the company itself has had these either tested or questioned, or how can they make the statements they're selling products? I mean, I suppose you can do just about anything, say anything you want to sell something.
Well, I think the issue we have as a public library is that we don't want to get into trouble by making our own statements. So like you're mentioning, if like Zilda has these statements on their website, we have no problem utilizing those words. We can just cite the lightzilla.com. I just don't want us to trouble, I'll use that word, for diagnosing, or not diagnosing, but stating that this will help any medical condition. And that's why using the words may, I thought, provided that. But, I think there's ways to adjust some of these sentences to be a little bit more general, maybe, if that's the way the committee wants to go. I'm I still feel that using the word may provides that ability, but I see what Sarah's saying with that little teeny window, where it may offend or may take someone, a parent back.
On the Lightzilla website, there's a really good that you can quote right off of their description is how it applies to STEM. And STEM is the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's right on their website. I think it's a good point, and it could possibly take out like concentration and color identification. And it's right on their website, and it's STEM is of course what they're teaching in schools. So that's not anything that's like medical, but it's kids. When you say STEM, like they know what STEM is and what you do. So it's on the website, and I can't see like not quoting that, which could be good, and maybe taking one or two of these out.
And I could appreciate that. If I have a 2-year-old, an 18-month-old, STEM is not going to apply to them yet. But if I'm very hesitant, I don't know what percentage of the population of children somewhere on the autism spectrum. But if it's less than 10%, and if, logic has it, that basically, there are so many things that may help a child in eye-hand coordination. I mean, you give them a spoon and they practice eating with that spoon. That helps them in eye-hand, it may be helping them in eye-hand coordination. They miss their mouth a few times and they figure out, get better and better with a spoon. You know, it helps their manual dexterity, it helps their eye-hand coordination. So I guess my point is, I believe that we should leave these in here, even though we are not quoting directly from, you know, the, I want to call it Godzilla, I mean, the Lightzilla website. I mean, I know we're trying to be politically correct, but on the other hand, there is a little bit of logic.
Well, my intent was not that we can only use the Lightzilla information. I was just bringing up the point that we would not then be subject to any, well, we could be anyway, criticism of our usage of certain terms. I didn't mean that we couldn't, we have to use their language. I would just think that their language may have been vetted in some way in order to avoid any, you know, charge of, you know, this isn't true or how you can't make that statement. That was my only intent. Thanks.
Unfortunately, the majority of their sales actually come from corporate America. They put a lot of these, they sell a lot of these for people, to corporate America, to put in their lobbies, so that while people are waiting in their lobbies and have nothing to do, adults play with them. A dentist's office, orthodontia offices, that's where the bulk of their sales are going. So they haven't really put a lot of investing a lot in putting what the benefits are for museums and libraries, et cetera. Matter of fact, I could only find in their listings of customer references, I have a bunch of them, there's only one library listed. So
Yeah,
they
I'm on
have,
their website now, and I agree. I mean, most of them are dealing with dentist office and lobbies and things like that. It's to occupy somebody's time in waiting for their next appointment or their next interview or whatever it might be. So there's very few that are actual libraries. I think I saw maybe two. They talk about libraries, hotels, dental offices, community space, children's museums, schools, educational institutions, retail stores, malls, sensory rooms, multifamily residential developments, science centers, event conferences. So there's a lot of other stuff than just libraries where they're installing these Lightzilla boards.
correct me if I'm wrong, it's actually hard to find benefit statements that apply to libraries.
I haven't seen it yet
I
as
spent
I've cruised through
hours,
this.
you know, on their website, on ABT's website, because as you search things, it sends you other places. So I guess, you know, if we're thinking about how we're going to use this statement, I mean, the purpose of this page is so that we share it with our fellow trustees, so that if somebody approaches them, they're not caught, I don't want people on our board and our staff to be caught without one or two things at the tip of their tongue. They should have one or two things that they're able to say.
And that's what you said in the beginning, that you wanted to have like 3 points. So I think if you use 1, 2, 6, redo 8, and you said also, Sarah said about STEAM, that would be 5. So I think if you stuck to those 5, at least for the beginning for today, you'd be on your way to having some type of a draft that could possibly be added on to, but the purpose, as you said, is to be able to be educated, to be able to talk about and explain what the Lisle is and what's the benefit in a short answer.
That's a good point. That would probably be a good compromise. That way we don't have to be exhaustive. So Beth, I didn't write down which ones you said, but could you reiterate them, please?
Sure. I said 1, 2, 6, 8, and then Laura's mentioned STEAM. And 8, we were gonna restate, yeah.
One was play and then the other's the student. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Gives us 5, doesn't it?
6, because we're dividing number 8. Which
Oh, you're dividing.
Yeah.
will give us 6 talking points. And we can use these 6, to Liz's point, not just for trustees and staff, but for our display. When we put something up, we can have these points mentioned in the display as well.
So, I know we don't vote really formally in this group. Are you guys okay with us going forward and asking, guess what, what do we do now? You guys, we agree and then bring it before the whole board, ask for a vote, or we just suggest? Where do we go from here?
You can just make a recommended, like we can work on a refined list. And we can you can, as chair, present it to the board and just communicate that this is a list of potential benefits of Lisle that the committee discussed. And we are all in agreement that these potential benefits make sense for the library to use in its display, and the trustees may use these points when discussing it amongst the community. Something like that.
Are you guys good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Excuse me. Okay, and item number 6, do you mind if we reverse? No, we should do item number 6, which is fundraiser project next steps. I think we kind of came to agreement that right now we don't want to do any follow-up on the first, well, actually, the first and initial step, which was the letter. So I think we agreed no follow-up for now. And then we did the newsletter. So I don't know if I'm thinking we don't want to do follow-up on that because we just mailed it. Is that pretty much what everybody's feeling? Nods, yes, no.
I don't know that follow-up's the right word. I think, Tatiana, you had alluded to earlier that while we have the newsletter available, maybe we should have a sort of a coupon or a donation bin that people can just pull the coupon out of and they can fill out. And I think we were going to do the visual, the board. And so there's a couple of follow-up steps there, which I think would fall under this fundraising project next steps. So maybe we leave it to Tatiana to describe what staff is doing.
Did you want me to go?
Do you mind?
Oh.
Do you mind, Tatiana?
Okay, so the next steps, as mentioned, is the internal display. We're still trying to figure out the best place for it because come March, we're going to be in renovation mode, but we do want something in the building so that, visitors come and see and they ask, oh, what's that? How can I contribute? And there's some information there, as well as the coloring page for kids. So that's in the works. The other thing we are we're concentrating on is the possibility to have an online donation button. And not as simple as you might think, because it's not like any, like, you know, Joe Q Public having their, GoFundMe page or something like that. Because again, we're a public library, government entity, and we have to follow certain rules of the road in terms of PCI compliance and making sure that anyone who donates can donate in a safe, financial way. And so just like what we do with the Illinois license plate stickers, we had certain channels, technology channels that we follow to make sure that that transaction is indeed safe. So we are looking into something very similar to what you do in the library and pay for your Illinois license plate sticker. Now, we'd like to have a button where someone could pay that, make a donation from home, like we have to come in. So Sandy, the IT manager, and I are looking into that option, and we are, I would say, maybe 60% of the way there in terms of getting to that point. So that indeed looks like an option for us, as well as once we have that, I would recommend that, then we have a media post message that says that people can do it that way. I have received an email or two regarding an online ability to donate. This was before the newsletter went out, and I did talk to that patron and let them know that the newsletter will come out, and so there's a way you can pay, via a check from your home, but soon the board would be discussing an ability to pay online. So there are people out there who would prefer to do it in that manner. And so it's exciting, but we just want to make sure we are crossing all the T's and dotting the I's in terms of the PCI compliance. And like I said, we're about 60% of the way there. But I would suggest that we bring that before the entire board and ask for their blessing in moving forward in that direction.
Okay. Another thing that we're doing in another organization I'm a part of is, I don't even know how we explain this to people who want to donate. I guess you can call your bank and you can request an ACH transfer. It doesn't cost you anything. It generates a check out of your checking account. You can say, I really want to send a $100 check to the Lisle Library. And it doesn't cost anything. I've never done it, but it's amazing to me that that's an option, that it's called an ACH transfer. And I don't know if the library has looked into that or would consider looking into it.
I am not familiar with it. What I will say in regards to online donations and what is where we're hitting a little bit of a wall. I think we can move past it, but it's really the record keeping of who donates, how much, and that we can maintain those separate donations within our system. And regarding like the Illinois license plate sticker programs where people can pay online here in the building, because we need the person to be in the building with their registration. That is the same fee, and we use a specific code for the license plate. With individual donations, it would have to be unique. I'm using the term code generally, code, because it's it's the person's name, it's the specific amount. So there's two unique items when you donate online, where the license plate is just a sticker and an amount. So the record keeping portion of it is where we're working the hardest on right now. I'm not familiar with the bank transfer method, but that made me think about, when that's wired over or however it is, where does it go and how do we know who it's from? And then, how is it housed in our accounts? So that would be another layer to look at.
You know what? Those are all good points. I think they physically print a check, mail it to you. It actually, it would have like Liz Sullivan, my address on it, which is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard of. But Green Trails Homeowners Association, we pay an annual homeowners fee. So a lot of people, it's due, in January. So a lot of people were asking, can we pay by credit card? Right now, we don't offer that. We're looking into it. So the management firm that manages for us said to the people, have you considered ACH? And I guess that's where, they looked into this process, and people are calling up their banks and they're asking their banks to generate this check. And I can double check. I think their bank generates a physical check that would mirror everything that's on your check today. It's put on the check that gets mailed to Green Trails Homeowners Association, which to me this whole thing sounds totally bizarre, but either if you want me to, I can verify that information, or if you would prefer to check it out, I don't even know if it's worth checking out.
I was just gonna say that it's a function of the online bill pay, but some of the vendors are not fully set up. So when you say you want a check or you want to pay someone, the bank is actually making a physical check, as Liz said, and sending it on to the receiver. And it can take about 10 days because it's going to be put in the mail.
But would that mean that is this from which perspective do we have to do the work? Is it on the donor side where they have to jump through the hoops, or is it the
Yes.
library?
The library doesn't do anything. The patron or the person who wants to give the money, as Liz said, calls the bank and says, I need a check to go to the Lisle library. It's in lieu of writing your own check.
We don't have to do everything.
And the way it became really handy is we have people who might spend 6 months, a year in Florida. So they have to pay their dues and they're in Florida. They call up and they say, hey, I need to pay my dues. I got to check the Green Trails. This is the address. I guess you just get their bank to generate a check and physically mail it. Now, Beth's point is as fast or as slow as the Postal Service. So I don't know if that would help or not, but the library would receive a physical check. So food for thought. We don't need to belabor it. It is another option. If you let me know if you want me to research it. I won't do anything unless you decide you want or need me to research it. Okay, so you had updated us, Tatiana, about the donation bin and the display in library and the possibility for online donations that would be maybe processed via credit card or something of that nature. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk to us about?
No, not on that.
Okay. Is there anything else that the team, the whole committee, wanted to talk about in terms of fundraising project next steps?
I don't know if it's too soon for that. Do we have a spring or a summer read? Do we have a spring read?
Yes.
Well, I'm thinking that the renovation is going to be difficult because we won't have the space that we have now, but I was wondering if during the read, we would have a display or a kiosk highlighting the Lisle and then have the donation information there. I mean, we get a lot of people here for the reads. So,
Well, the reads are going to be a lot different this year because of the renovation. Most of the read is going to be virtual, and anything in person will probably be drive-through or the pickup. So it's going to be limited. However, I think the team is working on something in person for summer read, where we may have some space on one of our properties. So I like the idea of having at least information board or something
sure,
at
okay,
that event.
good, just a thought.
Okay. Anybody else? Want to all talk at once? Okay. If not, Tatiana, let's go on to item number 7. Do you mind giving us an update on the video project?
No, just really quickly, we had 2 productive video shoots with trustee Sarah and trustee Lorna. Was it yesterday? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
But they were really good, and we had better lighting system up, a better microphone system. So I thank Nigel for providing a better venue and better equipment. So that went really smoothly. We had better cue cards. Everything was better. So the next trustees we have is, I think, Jenny and Emily to do, okay, so I'll go over, Sarah and I worked on the purpose video, which would be the first video. And then Lorna and I worked on the entrances and parking video. And then I think we muscled in Emily and Jenny to do the outdoor space. So that one hasn't been scheduled yet, but we've been doing that. And then outside of the trustee videos, we still have the youth services, adult services, and circulation services videos to shoot. We would like, well, Nigel still has to work on editing them because he wants them to look very, not similar, but that they're themed so that when somebody sees the post, they know, oh, it's a renovation video. So he's working on kind of that template theme, and then he'll use that with all of the videos. Like there'll be some sound, music, or some background. He's got the B-rolls of, he's taken B-rolls of all around the building that will be dispersed between the actual, our faces and our voices. So again, he's working on that template. We'd like to release them within, a week of each other. So we still have to do some filming, but we had, like I said, a good shoot yesterday, and I think we kind of set the tone for the rest of the videos to come forward. Yeah. Going well. And we'd like to release them once we start construction so that people have things to look forward to. So sometime in March would be a release time.
Cool. Before we adjourn, it sounds like we're kind of in a wait and see mode to wait and see if we still get some donations from the newsletter. And who knows, we still might get some from our initial letter that we sent out. People might have been on vacation, might just now be picking, well, they probably won't come back if they're smart until it's pick nice weather here. So we still might get some from the first letter we mailed out. So it sounds like we should meet in a couple months' time as opposed to meeting right away. What's everybody's thoughts on that?
Well, hopefully in a couple months' time, we'll have it all financed and we don't need to meet.
There you go.
Meet for a Diet Coke somewhere?
Yeah.
I can keep the committee aware via email regarding our progress with videos and with the online donation button. And then, during board meetings, Liz, you can update the board as a whole with the progress. as we move along. I don't know if we necessarily need to meet to make decisions about anything at this point in time, but, you know, if we do, you and I can connect and we can call a meeting, but you know, I can keep you aware.
Okay, and we need to like buy T-shirts when we're all done with this. I don't know yet what the T-shirts should say, but they need to be in like matching colors or something. Okay, so unless there's something else, last item is to adjourn, and may I have a motion to adjourn and a second, please?
I make the motion to
move.
adjourn.
I second.
Okay, do we have a roll call, please, Chris?
Lorna Turner,
Aye.
Sarah Wynn,
Aye.
Marjorie Rotelli,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
We are adjourned at 2:15.